What is going on, everyone? Welcome back for another video. This is the AEW All Out 2020 review. It was a good show, happened last night, but it's probably going to go down in infamy for one thing in particular, which we'll get to. But we'll start on the pre-show, we'll start on the buy-in, and the first match was Joey Janela, accompanied by Sonny Kiss, took on Serpentico, who was accompanied by Luther. And it was a good match. It was fun. It was good to get the crowd, off their feet and sort of ready and into it early on. Janela did pick up the win over Serpentico in about 5, 6, 7 minutes, something like that. It was a good match to start off the show. It was a sort of crowd popping opener, and I enjoyed it. After that, then we had a tag team match between the Beaver Boys, who are, I believe, number 3 and number 4 in the Dark Order, I think they're called. John Reynolds and Alex Reynolds and John Silver, took on Private Party in a fantastic match. This is one of these matches that, it's wild that it's on the pre-show, even though it's not really a pre-show. It's a pre-show, but we're conditioned to think a pre-show is like what it is in WWE. This was an amazing match. Silver and Reynolds are absolutely fantastic. I believe Drew Cordero, who runs Beyond, called them the MVPs of Evolve, or one of the MVPs of not Evolve, Beyond, for its existence. And I would be inclined to agree. They're absolutely fantastic. This is a great match, and I don't think they've been given a lot in AEW properly, like a lot to really show what they can do. And this match was incredible. Obviously, Private Party are amazing. And Private Party did end up picking up the win after just a very, very good back and forth tag team match. Because what's better than tag team wrestling? Nothing. That's your answer. So the opening match on the main card was the Tooth and Nail match, which was a fight in Britt Baker's dentist surgery. The opens with a Rolls Royce pulling up. Big Swole gets out, and she walks into the dentist. And Reba is at the reception. And she scraps with Reba for a bit and knocks her out and walks through. Like, it's all set up very creepy. She's walking through, and then the camera cuts around the corner, and Britt Baker is hiding in the shadows, wearing her mask. She's been talking to Corey for some character tips. It was good. It was very tense at the start. And then she grabs her diploma or degree or something off the wall and just scalps Swole with a frame. They keep fighting for a while. It goes outside. Britt tries to run onto the little Britmobile, but Swole chases her out. It's next to a dumpster. Reba eventually takes a tumble into the dumpster. I think the crutch is then thrown to Britt from the dumpster by Reba, who she once again tees off on Swole with it. And it was a very good match. It was very, very silly. They get in to the back inside. They fight back inside, and Britt grabs a syringe of what's it called? 1 second. I can't remember the name. But they fight back inside. Britt at one point actually does grab the drill, a power drill. Swole moves her head, and then the syringe comes into play, which kind of puts Britt's leg to sleep. And then Swole grabs the mask with the gas to knock you out, and knocked out Britt Baker and pinned her for the win. And it was great. It was just amazing professional wrestling silliness, and we need more of that. Obviously, this wasn't the match we all expected. I think Britt is still working back from her injury, so having something like this which can sort of cover up her weaknesses until she is ready to go back in the ring, and they can have a fantastic 20+ minute match, which we know they can have. So hopefully that comes soon, but I loved this, and I thought it was a great way to open the show. Jesus. Following that, we cut back into Daly's place, and we had a tag team match between the Young Bucks and Jurassic Express. And the Young Bucks worked heel. They're turning. They're definitely turning. It was a great match. Obviously, Jurassic Express are incredible. One of the best tag teams in the world. I was saying last night, some things are cool in wrestling, and wrestling as a whole it's not really that cool, is it? But some things are like wrestling cool, and Luchasaurus he's cool no matter what. He's a 7 feet tall dinosaur who does backflips and karate kicks. That's cool. He's great. They had a very good match back and forth. At one point, I believe it was Luchasaurus was on the apron as Jungle Boy was going over to make the tag, and he got super kicked off by Matt, who then jumped outside and started doing all the come and tag me and just being a total wee dick. Marco Stunt got involved a few times. I did eat a super kick from Matt, which was good fun. But the Young Bucks, just every time that the Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy would sort of begin to mount a comeback, they would always find something for it. Towards the end, they went for the BTE trigger, and Jungle Boy rolled out from underneath it. The margin of error on that is this much to just go there right into Nick Jackson's knee. And he came back with a little bit of a comeback, tried his best, but eventually in a couple of minutes the Young Bucks wore him down, took him out, and were able to hit the BTE trigger for the win. It was a fantastic match. It was worked at a blistering pace because the Young Bucks and Jurassic Express worked at a blistering pace. Luchasaurus looks great, Jungle Boy looks great. Both of them were already on this level for me. They were already very, very high up on my list, but they managed to do some stuff that I guess gave them more points, earned them more points in my book. Like I said, I thought the match was fantastic, and I would like to see them run it back when the Young Bucks are fully heel. Maybe with some championships involved, that'd be nice. Up next we had the Casino Battle Royale, and I'm not going to give the big rundown of kind of spot for spot because our stream was a little bit jumpy through this, and it was going back and then it was going like a minute. It kept jumping all over the place. So I'm going to read out the entrants in the order they came in and then sort of break down what happened towards the end of the match. So the first 5 men in were Trent, Christopher Daniels, Jake Hager, The Blade, and Rey Fenix. Then this thing I've got here doesn't have the order in which everyone came in. So I'm going to need to, I guess, get cage match up. Right, I can't seem to find anywhere that has the order in which they came in, so I'll read you the first 20 in the order that this thing has given me. So Darby Allin, Ricky Starks, Brian Cage, Butcher, Blade, Eddie Kingston, Phoenix, Penta, Lance Archer, Santana, Ortiz, Billy Gunn, Chuck Taylor, Trent, Christopher Daniels, Jake Hager, Frankie Kazarian, Will Hobbs, Sean Spears, Sonny Kiss. And then the mystery man eventually, we found out, was Matt Sydal, former Evan Bourne in WWE. He ran to the ring, hit Sean Spears with a big knee on the stage, and went up to hit a shooting star, and he slipped, and it was very scary. He's okay, he got up and he finished the match, and honestly, the fact he was able to finish that match and still obviously wasn't working as quick as a Matt Sydal match usually goes, because he did just kind of land right here and maybe a little bit higher, but he was able to finish the match, which I thought was incredible. It came down to the final 4 of, I believe, Eddie Kingston, The Butcher, Lance Archer, and Matt Sydal. And they scrapped about for a bit. Kingston and Butcher working together in the wee group. Sydal eventually went out, as did Butcher, and it came down to Eddie Kingston and Lance Archer. And I thought Eddie Kingston was going to win this because I could see MJF winning the main event. So in my head, I'm thinking, this has got to be Eddie Kingston. Can you imagine Eddie Kingston with a shot at the world title? And it came down, they were both over the apron on the outside. And Archer backs him up to the turnbuckle. And he climbs up a few steps. And then Butcher comes over and starts grabbing at Archer's legs, but nothing's happening. Out comes Blade. Blade gets up on the apron, he's taken out with the big boot. Eddie Kingston's trying to fight back whilst Archer's distracted, but Jake the Snake is bringing up a bag with the snake in it because Eddie Kingston's scared of snakes. And eventually, Lance Archer was able to just grab Eddie Kingston by the throat and chokeslam him to the outside onto Butcher and Blade. And Lance Archer now has a shot at the AEW World title, which I'm more than okay with. Lance Archer's great. I think he's amazing. Honestly, I would have been okay with most people in that match getting it. I think, realistically we weren't going to get like Willie Hobbs or Sean Spears or Butcher or Blade winning it, but I would be okay with all those people because Willie Hobbs is great, Sean Spears is great, Butcher and Blade's great. Matt Sydal, obviously it's good to see him back in a major company. Obviously it's not ideal that he kind of fucked it on his way in, but fair play to him, he's here, he's back in front of a big audience, and hopefully he wrestles on Wednesday. I was going to say, we were looking last night, we were looking at the temperature in Jacksonville, as we do most weeks, because I don't know how they do it. And the temperature in Jacksonville was around 31 degrees Celsius. And Matt Sydal came out, obviously the ropes would be very slippy from a battle royal taking place Also in that heat, everyone's sweating even more. Oh, it's not great. It's not great. Now we'll talk about the heat later for something else, maybe, that might have played a factor in. But for this, obviously, it was very scary. I'm very happy that Matt Sydal didn't die. And hopefully he wrestles on Wednesday and he just has a very good match so people can sort of maybe wash the taste of this out of their mouth and move on to, just we can see what he can do, because he's amazing. He's one of the best. So then, this was the biggest talking point of the night. It was the Broken Rules match, the sort of last man standing sort of thing between Sammy Guevara and Matt Hardy. And it cuts to Matt Hardy, who's in the TIAA Bank Stadium, which was Jacksonville Jaguars Players Stadium. Stampede took place. Matt Hardy he's looking about for Sammy, and then Sammy appears with the golf cart. Obviously, Sammy got murdered by the golf cart, and he starts chasing him. And Matt manages to escape, and they brawl over close to like a sort of scissor lift thing, and they fight onto it. They lift it up maybe like 10, 15 feet in the air. There's a couple like tables set up at the bottom of it, like here, and the scissor lift's here. And then they fight on it, and Sammy spears Matt off. And Matt goes flying off, and he missed the tables completely. Just knocked his head on the concrete from about 10 feet in the air, 15 maybe, which is fucking terrifying. There's no other way to say it. And then Sammy sort of gets up and he's stumbling, but Aubrey's overlooking at Matt. Matt is obviously not okay. Doc Samson comes in and the match is called off because Matt Hardy, you looked at him and he was purple, he was grey, he looked, he was the same colour as one of the Cramp twins, as grim as that is. But the stipulation of this match is if Matt Hardy lost, he's gone from AEW. So Matt got up and he kept fighting, and Aubrey and Doc Samson were trying to get him to stay. I think if I'd have been Aubrey, I mean, I can't say I would have done that in the moment. Obviously, we want to check on Matt, but if that was me and I'd realised that he wants to keep going, I would go over to Sammy and I would go, look, you also need to stay down, and we're just going to say that none of you are able to continue. And I know the stipulation in the match said that if they're both down for a 10 count, it doesn't count, but if you could just, say they're both unable to compete. But Matt got up and just made his way over to Daly's place into the arena, and then him and Sammy had a little brawl for another couple of minutes, and then he threw Sammy off the stage, I'm assuming was the intended finish, and won the match, and then was immediately taken to hospital. And this is where the dark cloud came over the show, because it was a great show. I think it was a fantastic show, but everything after that moment is, you think about that. And there's a lot of people saying, oh, fuck it, why do AEW don't care about the performers? They don't care about the performers. This is a freak accident. Accidents happen in wrestling. It's excusable. It's not ideal that it kept going. And if you're Aubrey and if you're Doc Samson, you probably should have said, Matt, you really need to stop. But it's not. I don't want to say it's excusable, but it's not like he died. And there has been a noted case of another company in the professional wrestling space where someone died on the show that continued the show on pay-per-view. And I'm not trying to play points off here. I'm not trying to say, oh, AEW's this, WWE's this. But I'm saying there's been a level of hypocrisy on Twitter that I've seen surrounding this. Saying this would never happen in a professional environment like WWE. It's an accident. Accidents happen, and it's not great. And I wish Matt a speedy recovery, and I really, really do hope he's okay. But stop trying to use this as a way to score points and say that all people who like AEW are idiots because they want the big spots. No, things like this might happen sometimes in wrestling, and it's just the truth of pro wrestling, and it fucking sucks. And it sucks that happened to Matt Hardy. But stop using it as an excuse to score points. Stop using it as an excuse to say, oh, my company's better. There are worse things have happened and shows have continued. There is quite literally a documented case of someone passing away on a show in WWE, and they kept on going. And this might sound like I'm trying to score points as an AEW fan, but I'm not. It's not great, obviously. As well, actually, one thing I will say, Ryan Satin should be fucking ashamed of himself. There's the hypocrisy of his blatant WWE bias, talking all this stuff, saying, oh, Tony Khan's trying to control what fans say they don't, because small capacity, if someone's in the crowd that swears, it could get picked up and make it through to TNT. But he has yet to comment on Vince McMahon saying that he owns the real names of people who he doesn't even employ because they're independent contractors, so he doesn't need to give them healthcare. Or he's not said anything about that. That's a totally different story. But if I was Ryan Satin with, I think he's got like, in fact, let me just check, 84.3 thousand followers on Twitter. If I'm him with that big of a following, when a real life injury like that of Matt Hardy's happened, I wouldn't tweet the video. That video is a horrifying thing. It's difficult to watch, and a man got genuinely injured, and then he's putting out to his nearly 90,000 followers. People are going to see that video on Twitter either way. But if that was me, and I had that following, I would feel a responsibility to keep that off my timeline, personally. And it doesn't sit right with me that he's went and put that out. It just doesn't. But I'm going to move on from the Matt Hardy thing because I am getting wound up. And I do want this video to be fun. So we'll move on from that. And the next was a great match. An absolutely fantastic match, which suffered from the fact that we had that match just before. And it was the women's title match between Hikaru Shida and Thunder Rosa. And I'm going to be perfectly honest, I don't remember a lot of the spots here. Because, like I said, my head was I was still thinking about Matt Hardy. But I was watching the match, and it was a fantastic match. Thunder Rosa's great, Shida's obviously amazing. Lots, they're just so good. And like I said, I don't remember many spots from this match because I was still thinking about Matt Hardy. But definitely go check it out and find it out. It was really, really good. Thunder Rosa is great. I would like to see more of her on a national level, and on not a national level, but a bigger stage, ideally on TV, national TV. But yeah, so Hikaru Shida did eventually pick up the win over Thunder Rosa, and I do think they are going to run this back in NWA, or maybe on Dynamite for the NWA title. I would like to see that. I would like to see them do it again, and then maybe this time I can talk about the match and remember more stuff that happened. Up next then, we have Penelope Ford and Kip Sabian have announced they're getting married. And Kip Sabian is going to announce his best man on Wednesday. And then they plugged his Twitch. They had a little message at the bottom saying, this message is endorsed by All Elite Wrestling. Which is a wee dig at WWE. And I've seen a lot of people on Twitter going, oh, this is so petty. But every dig they take at WWE, it's never petty digs for the sake of petty digs. It's petty digs at the fact that they don't treat their workers with any fucking respect. Which is fair. If I ran a company where I treated all my workers like human beings and my biggest rival didn't, I would take every fucking chance I could to take a pop at it. That's just me. Up next we had the Dark Order versus the Natural Nightmares, Matt Cardona and Scorpio Sky. The Dark Order was represented by, who was it? It was just Uno, Grayson, Brody Lee and Colt Cabana. And it was very, very good. It was amazing. The match kind of started and the Dark Order dominated for the opening portion of the match, but eventually the babyfaces, sort of fired up and got all their big comebacks in. But eventually, the Dark Order once again regained control, and Brody Lee hit the discus closing, I think it's called the Big Boss Man, on Dustin Rhodes, and nearly killed him. And then Colt Cabana said, tag me in, I'm going to get the win. Went for a moonsault, missed, Dustin rolled him up, and then the good guys got the win. Mr. Brody Lee was not happy. So it looks like Colt Cabana will be kicked out of the Dark Order very soon. And on Wednesday it was announced that we're getting a Dustin Rhodes versus Brody Lee for the TNT Championship. And that's going to be amazing. Those are two men that firmly, in the words of DMX, said, fuck what you heard, it's what you're hearing. Luke Harper, Goldust, nah. Then up next we had another match which I think suffered from a combination of factors. One, obviously the fact that the Matt Hardy stuff left a very dark cloud over all of the rest of All Out. I thought it was a great show, but I personally would rank it as my least favourite AEW pay-per-view. That's not to say it was a bad show by any means. It's like saying The Dark Knight Rises is my least favourite of the Dark Knight trilogy. Because it's still a very good film. It was still a very, very good show. But I think in-ring quality was not bottom for me. But the Matt Hardy stuff just really sucked the life out of it from everything after that. And as well, like I mentioned earlier, 30-degree heat. It was a 5-hour show, 4 or 5 hour show. And you know, there's still some fans in Daly's place. They're at like, I think 10 or 15% capacity. There's still a decent number of people there in the audience. But that means it's going to be obviously be quieter than it would be if it was full. And in 30-degree weather for 5 hours on less of a crowd, people were tired no matter what was going on. People were very, very tired. But the tag team title match, I thought was fantastic. This has been, a shot for FTR to really show what they can do. We all know what they can do, but just to remind everyone what they can do. And against a team like Hangman and Omega, who, to me, have had one of the best... I love an odd couple tag team, even though it's not really an odd couple tag team. They weren't a proper tag team. But they have the chemistry. Like, they've been doing it together for years. And I do think, when we do get that inevitable Young Bucks FTR match, that's going to be up here. But I think it's the right call not having it be their first big match. So the match against Hangman and Omega was incredible. Absolutely incredible. Hangman is no longer wearing trunks. He's wearing like long tights with like fringe and funky sparkly cowboy designs. He looked great. He looked like $1 million because he always does. Tully was in a pair of nice funky white jeans and his red jacket with all the drip in the world. But the match itself was absolutely fantastic. Of course, there is the underlying tension with Hangman and Omega, but FTR they did everything to play up to that with the psychology. Right at the start, Hangman Page went on like a little bit of a rampage, and I think it was on Cash. And Dax came in and then he got taken out. And Hangman just so angry with the comments they made on Wednesday. He was firing in and taking them all out. But it was very good. Eventually, FTR were able to slow it down, and then eventually when the comebacks were coming, Hangman and Omega were picking up the pace. But then it was a lot of back and forth of slow, methodical FTR match, very quick, impactful Hangman and Omega match. And both teams were able to match the pace wonderfully. Both teams were absolutely incredible. There was at one point where Cash did a sunset flip sort of powerbomb thing. Well, he picked up Omega and he sunset flipped over to the outside and got Omega up in a powerbomb. And then Dax ran with the Bulldog, like a sort of Steiner Brothers thing, but he didn't go into like a powerbomb. He did it back the way, and it did look like Cash's knee buckled. I was very worried, but he just sort of he went under and like sort of slid out from under Omega, so it looked like his knee went. He looked amazing, and I think it was shortly after that they did a brainbuster stump pile driver onto Hangman off the middle rope. I think Dax came off the middle rope and then pinned him Dax came off the middle rope and then pinned him for 2, and then Cash tagged back in, went to the top rope, and they did the stump pile driver off the top rope and picked up the pin over Hangman Page and won the championships. And FTR are your new All Elite Wrestling Tag Team Champions, which is just absolutely spectacular. And then after the match, Kenny stormed off and stormed out of the building, and he kept saying stuff like, it's a clean sweep, a lot of references to the Cleaner and Bullet Club and all of this stuff, which we're definitely getting. And he walked out to the back to a car and they said, look, you guys are going to get in this car now or it's done. Get in the car. And then he got in the car in his gear. The Young Bucks stayed, but they looked like they were thinking about it. So we're probably going to find out in the next few weeks where this goes, and I can't wait. Then we had the semi-main event, which was the Mimosa Mayhem match between Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho, where you can win this match with the side of the ring. The way they explained it said there were going to be vats of mimosa, which there were. I was sort of thinking like troughs round the side of the ring, which would have been a logistical nightmare to transport and set up. But they had sort of, I guess, like hot tubs almost on either side of the ring. Nothing at the back, but on both sides of the ring. So you had the stage, which comes up to the ring, and then on the left and right hand side, they had two pretty much hot tubs full of orange juice and champagne. And the match was great, right from the start. Cassidy was bringing the intensity, bringing the fire. And they worked, I mean, they've got such great chemistry together. There were a few near falls, a few spills and thrills, and a foot going in sometime, but it has to be your whole body. And there was a bit where Jericho was trying to, has Cassidy's head, and he's trying to push it into the, it was amazing. It was fantastic. At one point, Jericho had in a Walls of Jericho, and Orange Cassidy filled like a cup thing full of mimosa, sort of got back into the ring, turned him around, splashed his face with it. And towards the end, Jericho was on the turnbuckle on the outside of the ring, positioned right above the big vat of mimosa, and Orange Cassidy ran up and Superman punched him. Jericho hung on, and then Orange Cassidy took off his elbow pad and Superman punched him for the win as Jericho fell into this big hot tub full of mimosa pretty much. And it was fantastic. It was the perfect end to a silly feud. I mean, the feud was silly, the matches were, but even like a silly match like this was still intense. Everything about the feud, except, until, get to the end ring, was really silly and dumb and fun. Like a feud between Chris Jericho and Orange Cassidy should be. And then when they got in the ring, even though they were wrestling in a Mimosa Mayhem match, it felt like they hated each other and they wanted to kill each other, and I thought it was great. Then we had the world title match between Jon Moxley and MJF, where Jon Moxley cannot use the paradigm shift. And it was great. It was great. It felt like an old school 80s territory main event. Two big heavyweights going at it. Sort of Terry Funk-like character and a Ric Flair-like character, I guess. Just doing battle. And it was amazing. MJF was, keen to keep it inside, whereas Moxley wanted to take it to the outside and brawl. And whenever they were in their sort of respective, if they were in the ring, it was more an MJF match, and Moxley would manage to take it outside and he would just brawl with him. At one point, Moxley catapulted him into the ring post on the outside and ran in. And then he started bashing his shoulder against the turnbuckle. And I was thinking, he's got massive arms, so his arms looks like, I'm like, is that just muscle or is that a dislocation? Turned out it was all a ruse, as the camera panned down to MJF on the outside, and he was covered in blood. He gets back in the ring, and the pair, and I think JR said, MJF's a hell of a kid, and Moxley may have underestimated him because you never know what happens when a man tastes his own blood. And MJF got back in the ring and he fired up. They kept going for ages. Towards the end of the match, when the blood had dried up and the cut had stopped pouring, Moxley just started headbutting him to reopen the cut, and it was great. It was amazing. I keep saying it was amazing, but it was so good. They felt like they hated each other. At one point, Moxley tried to get in the ring, and MJF hit his slingshot pile driver for a 2 count, for a near fall. He took Moxley to the other side of the ring. And then he went to do it again, but this time Moxley threw him out onto the stage, and they brawled on the stage for a little bit. Eventually got back into the ring, and Wardlow distracted the ref and threw in the Dynamite Diamond ring. And as Moxley sees this, as Max is reaching for the ring, he sees that the ref is distracted by Wardlow in the apron, and picks him up for a paradigm shift, and gets the win. And it was so good. It was so good. I was tired, it was like 5 AM at this point, but I loved it. I loved every single thing about it. They're two of the best. So after Moxley picked up his win, by cheating mind you, so MJF can firm this is only his first loss, but he can still firm it by saying he still had to cheat to win, he had to go outside of the rules to pin me. Even though he was going for the ring, but we'll talk about that. And then the show ended with Lance Archer and Jake the Snake coming out to stare down Jon Moxley. So I'm very excited to see where we stand going forward. Like I said, this was probably my least favourite AEW pay-per-view ever out of the 6 or 7 they've had so far. But that was because of, like I said, the dark cloud left over it with the Matt Hardy stuff. He finished the match, so I think hopefully that should mean he's okay. I'll just need to wait and see. The rest of the show has got me very excited for Wednesday. All the matches were very good. I would definitely recommend checking them out, all of them, except for the Broken Rules match, because unless it's It's not fun watching that. Please stop trying to use that as an excuse to score points. And yeah, that was All Out. I had fun. I hope you had fun. If you liked the video, give it a like, subscribe if you're new. There will be 3 videos a week now, at least. Impact, AEW, and NXT. I'll be talking about all 3 shows in depth instead of just one big hour-long massive video. So they'll be coming this week. And like I said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do like wrestling, you do like me talking about wrestling, you know, this is where I do it. My podcast will be coming back soon. There will be more stuff coming, more interesting content, hopefully, on the horizon that I have planned. But we just need to wait for that to happen. So for now, I thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.